don't upgrade the VMware Workstation Player, you will be able to use it with GNS3 after this. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, the first thing we need to do is to have our router installed. For the router, I'm going to use whatever has been provided by AutoLab. It's a zip file. So basically what I'll do, I'll right click and I'll open 7-zip. I'll open the archive, and afterwards I will extract everything what I see here. I will extract it on the downloads folder as well. I won't remove the zip file. I'll still keep it, because when I eventually decide to remove some of the machines here, they might be, I might remove some of them from this folder. So I will need then the zip file just to to reuse the machine from there. So for now, I will leave it like this. Let me just organize by type. So I'm okay. The lap local is what I'm going to use. So in lap local, the router is this folder. So what I need to do on my VMware Workstation Player, and that's what we're going to do with the other instances here, they're prepared for us, okay? If I open it, you see there are a bunch of files here, and actually the router VMX has inside the way to install to pre-install settings. So some settings the author of this machine did inside, so we're gonna reuse them instead of we doing them manually on the machine. So that's what I need to do. I need just to import this machine in my VMware player. So the way to do it is to click on the open a virtual machine. So say open a virtual machine. Then I will go to my downloads folder, files, here. I'll go to lab local, and I'm gonna go to router. And here it is, VMX is already here, just gonna click twice on it, and it will be imported. So that's all we need to do. Now, this particular machine is in a very nice shape. So basically what I will do here, I'll just check my virtual machine settings by clicking on edit, and I will click here on this one. If I see VMnet3, that's perfect. That's because the other machines are using scripts here to be installed by itself. We're gonna partially use this. Anyway, that's the network all the machines will be internally connected to. This one is breached, so it will be connected to my real network. Let's see what I have here on the real network. I'll do ipconfig. With this command executed, I'm gonna see all of my interfaces. And what is interesting for me is that's the name of the interface which I'm connected to the network, and I see that is connected at the moment. The other ones are virtual, as you see. Some of them are disconnected. Well, I don't know what's this one, but if I need to check, I know that's most probably a candidate which I could see further. So the next command, actually, I will repeat this one. And instead of interface here, I'm gonna just say conf for configuration. And I'm gonna say the name of the interface which is interesting for me, Ethernet. Now, since there are no empty space like on the Ethernet empty space 2, I could use it without inverted commas. And since that's since this is Microsoft Windows, I could use it with small letters. If I wanted to see this one, well, I need to do it like this. Okay, and then it will be shown because there is an empty space. Because I don't want to see this one, I just click enter, and actually it will show me all the settings here. So that's the network which I am on, and the network I see 24 masks, so that means the network is 172.26.38.0. So what I'm expecting here on this adapter is 172.26.38 address. Okay, so that's why I'm showing you this one. On the other side, I'm expecting address of 192.168.199.0.24 subnet mask, because that's the way they did it. I'm just gonna say cancel. Notice also 256 megabyte of RAM. It's a very, very nice one. So I'm gonna say okay on this one. And now what I'll do will be to start it. I need this machine all the time on. When you see this message, it's asking either to move the virtual machine or to copy. Always use as they say here, if you don't know, answer I copied it. Well, we don't know, we say I copied it. Now, this is when you see to install the VMware tools, always click download and install the tools. That's very important. And the previous message we saw is if we would like, because our mouse will take within the it will take within the guest edition, will be hold on inside. They say to us how to release it. It's left control and all. That's what is the host key. In VirtualBox, it was the right control. In VMware Player and VMware Workstation is the left control and alt. First control and then alt, while you're keeping control down. Okay? So I say do not show this. Okay. Now the smart board, I just say don't. I'll say okay for this one. And as you see, my pfSense starts. It's pre-installed. So what I need is just to wait until it's boot up. That's all. And then to check if it's okay, my WAN interface and my LAN interface. I see 172.26.38 as we said, that's my WAN, and I see 192.168, 199. That's what we expect for VMnet 3. So the machine is it is in a perfect state. What I will do, I'm just gonna move it here at the bottom, and I'm gonna minimize it. I don't need to touch it anymore. I have now the prerequisite, my infrastructure to start build up. So I minimize. The next thing, now we're gonna install it as a second thing, but we said because we don't have enough power, I don't have enough power on this machine like you guys, it's 16 gigabyte only. We're not gonna use it. We're just gonna see how to install it. We're gonna connect it to check it, and afterwards we will stop it. We're not gonna use it anymore. Okay, so that's the NAS. That's my free NAS or network attached storage. So I'm gonna go here where it says NAS. Okay, this is the one, and that's what I'm gonna install. Now you see my VMware player interface is occupied at the moment by the router. So what I do, I just go to the icon, which I hopefully see somewhere. For me, it's on the top, so you guys to see better. But for you, will be at the bottom on the taskbar. You go there, you hover over it, right-click, and you do VMware Workstation 12 Player. You click on it, and it will open another instance. Okay, here it is. And then you could create a new virtual machine, or you could open an existing one. Now, let's try to open the one we have for. We'll click here, and we're gonna go wherever it says NAS, and we say like that. Now, before we open it, let's check the settings. Let's check the settings. You see, it's configured to 512 megabyte. It's configured because it's using an older version of FreeNAS. If you check for the last year and a half, 2 years, the prerequisites for FreeNAS, you're gonna see the minimum prerequisites for RAM is indeed 8 gigabyte of RAM. Okay, let me just double check how much space I have on my computer. Well, I have 740 gigabytes free. That's very nice. So I could use 500. Now let's first try to start this one with 8 gigabytes. So I'm gonna just put up to 8 gigabyte here. You see also where the marker is. My marker is a little bit below 16 gigabytes, so it's about 14 or 13 gigabytes. So I cannot go beyond this one. For now, 8 gigabytes, and this one 256, and about 3-4 gigabytes for my real machine. It will work. So something else, you see this, it has two disks. So the first one will be the one which we're gonna install the operating system on, and this one will be where we could install. Then we're gonna use all the shared files to reside for the shared storage. When I click on the bridge, I need to see VMnet 3 because that's my internal network. That's fine. So let's say OK on this one. And let's try to start it and to see what will happen. Now you see, was created a VMware product that is incompatible with the version of VMware Player and cannot be used. So, well, that means exactly what it means. This one won't start this way. That's why we downloaded our VMware, free NAS. So I'm gonna just delete it from the disk. I'll say yes. Let's check it if it has. You see, I just deleted it from here as well, and it's not in my recycle bin. It's okay, but if I need it again, basically that's why I left this the zip image. Okay, so that's why I left this zip image. If I need it again, what I would do just would would have opened the 7-zip and open the archive. I'll open lab local here. I'll open lab local here, and I'm gonna just drag and drop the NAS back here, and I'm gonna head it back. Okay, so if something occur in the same way like it just occurred to me, that's what you do. That's why you keep the zip file there. Any questions, guys? Okie dokie. So let's minimize this. Let's minimize this. Actually, this one we don't need. I'm going to close it. So we're going to install our own NAS. Okay. So I'm going to create a new virtual machine. I'll choose my ISO image, which I already downloaded. It's in my download folder. I'll choose the free NAS, this one. I'll say open. It will find it out, and it says free NAS, a free BSD actually is detected. Well, that's what I need. It's a free BSD. It's based on FreeBSD, Unix. Now, I'll call this exactly as they call it. Well, actually, I'm going to call it free NAS. I'm going to call it free NAS. Okay, it shows where it will be downloaded, and where it will be installed, actually. I'll say next. Now, it's asking me how much will be it. Now, I downloaded for you guys already. I already downloaded for you. I'm going to copy them now to show it to you. I downloaded the prerequisites of the machine which were there. So I made screenshots, and I'll copy this screenshot now, and afterwards I'll put these screenshots actually in the TACFP site too. Here it is. I'm gonna open for the free NAS, and you're gonna see what are the prerequisites here. Now, that's the one which I installed, actually. Well, what I need to do here is to add a separate disk. If you remember, when we installed it, there was a separate disk. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll close this one for now. We don't need it anymore. So that was the one which I installed yesterday, but I didn't add the second disk. But it's not a problem. So store the virtual disk is a single file is better for our setup. I'll say next. Now, you could customize the hardware. You could customize afterwards. Now, I'm going to say, it says power on the virtual machine. Actually, it will start the installation right away. I don't want this. I'll uncheck this, and I'll say finish. The machine will appear, and then I'm going to edit the virtual machine settings. Okay? Now, I need to do some stuff here. On the memory, let's try with 4 GB first. Let's try if we're going to start with 4. Or let's try with 6, actually. 6 are 600, 122, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check when we open calculator. And when we do 6 multiplied by 1024, 6144. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to choose 6 GB. Now, for the hard disk, the first one of 20, it's fine. For the network adapter, obviously we need to change here to VMnet3 to be on the same network. And I'm going to add here a hard disk. Okay, I'll say next. I'll choose as SCSI. I will create a new. And I'm going to say here 100. Remember, that was the say. And I'm going to use again, store the virtual disk as single file. Now, if I choose one of these options here, it will be equivalence of the virtual box, the dynamic location. If I choose allocate all this space now, well, it will take right away 100 GB of my free space. In this case here, the both, it will take only the one as much as I need at the moment. If you remember, this thing is called, in the VMware world, actually this one is called the team provisioning. And if I choose and allocate the whole space, it's called a tick provisioning. Okay, so in my case, I'll say just next here. This one will be 3 NAS 0, it's fine, or I could say disk 2, doesn't matter really to me. Okay, or I could say storage, because that's what I'm going to use it for. It will be my storage disk, wherever I'm going to store my virtual machine. Say finish, and the disk will appear right beneath the other one. Okay, here it is. Any questions up to now? I would say okay, and I'm gonna try to install it. When you're prompted, I'll say okay for this, and I will wait. You see, it will start. It will say that in a couple of seconds it will boot. I could click inside and click enter. It's not too much. Let's see if it will be able to install it with 6 GB. I'm interested to see this. So when I see this, I'll click inside. My mouse will be hold out inside, but you see it says here to return to your computer, Control Alt. No problem. So I'm going to click install and upgrade. I'll click enter. Now it says 8 GB recommended. It's not recommended with not enough. Continue. Yeah, we'll say let's try. Yes. Now it's asking me where. Well, we set the operating system we're going to put on the 20 GB. So I'm going to click spacebar. I could, if I want to install it here, the same thing. I could say here like this. If I would like to remove it, again the spacebar. And then I'm going to click enter for OK. Now it says this will erase all of your partition, installation, and so on and so forth. You just say yes. It will ask for a password. Welcome one with capital W, as you know, is what we use here in our, in our labs. I'll say boot via BIOS, and I will try to install it now. Let's see if it will be installed. Even with the 6 GB, it has been done. It has been installed, so that's a good thing. This is a good thing. Now you see at the bottom of your VMware player, it shows that you need to install the tools. We said that the VMware tools are like the guest edition in VirtualBox. It's mandatory to be installed when it's prompted. So I would install them after the reboot. So I'll click OK. Okay, and I'm gonna say reboot the system. Now while I'm rebooting, once it's rebooted, I will need to be sure that here it is. When it starts back, I need to shut down hardly. So to be sure that I'm gonna remove the ISO image. I don't want the installation to start again. So I'll go to FreeNAS here. I'll click on the Edit Virtual Machine Settings. I'll go to CD where it says my image, and I'll say Connected Power On. I will say no, don't connect it, which means it won't start. And I'm going to start it now. So wherever has been installed, if it's properly installed, it's supposed to start now. Okay? It won't install again. If I would like to check my consumption of what's going on with my system, Task Manager, then you open here more details, and you're gonna see what it says here about the utilization. You see, it's using at the moment with these two machines on, it's using 5% of my CPU, 42% of my memory, and it shows indeed how much disk and network utilization also is going on. So I could install my domain controller as well after, since it has only 2 GB, and I still will be in good shape. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize this. So even I'm not gonna minimize it, I will keep it on the top, so to see from time to time. Any questions up to now, guys? My FreeNAS is on. It doesn't show well though. It's not connected properly to the network. So what I could do here is actually I could say one to configure my network interface. I'll click inside one. Let's see my interface. Well, there is only one. I'll click one. I'll say yes. Still nothing there. So I'm gonna say now configure. I'll say reset configuration to default. I'll click 8. I'll say yes. So basically any configuration which has been applied, it will be resetted, and it will be in the state of initial configuration. So let's see if that will resolve the issue with the IP address there. The reason is that we don't have here this one It doesn't provide DHCP most probably. So I could I could check this and I could fix it once I install my domain controller. So let's see what will happen here now. First, most probably that's the reason there is no DHCP on my LAN interface available. So that's why nothing's happening here. Let's wait a little bit. Yes, that's the reason. We're gonna fix it once we install our domain controller. So the domain controller here in lap local is called DC. This is the one we need to install. So I'm gonna follow the steps. I'm gonna try to install it right away as it is here, and I'm gonna show you some differences after. So what I will do here, I will go on the I would right click here and start again my VMware workstation, another instance, a VMware player, I'm sorry. And then I would create a new virtual, actually I'm going to open a virtual machine. I would navigate in my download folder for the lap local, and I'm going to go wherever it says DC. I'll choose DC. Here it is. Now I need to do some stuff here. So first of all, memory of 512 is not enough. At least gigabyte and at least 2 gigabytes even, I would say, is what we need. Well, let's try with 512 first. Let's try. I'm pretty sure we need to change it after. Now 40 gigabyte is okay here, and we need to check our adapter, which is VMnet 3. That's fine. Now something else we need. Let's check what we have here. The ISO image. So we need to be sure the ISO image, which is in my download, this one, is properly put here. On the second CD we have, as on the other one when we install the router, we have the configuration files which has been pre-installed for us. Something else we need to do, and it's supposed to be done while the machine is off, shared folders. We want to share our desktop, you could say always enabled, map as a network drive, so to see it as map drive, and you need to add here, and I would add my desktop. I'll say here desktop. I'll say next, enable the share, finish, and that's all. And also my VMware tools, I would like to say update automatic. So that's what I did here, and I'll say okay, and I'll start now the machine. Let's see if it will work with 512 megabyte of RAM. Once you prompted to install the tools, just install it. So the installation starts right away, doesn't ask me for anything. So basically this is because of this funny file here, which exists in the CD drive 2, dc-config ISO. It's a small file pre-installed for us, so basically it does everything for me. So I'm gonna wait a little bit now. You see at the bottom it says to install the tools. Now when we have a graphical interface, we need to wait until the system is installed and rebooted, and we are within the graphical interface, and then we're gonna click on the install tools button. It will appear again. Then we click and we'll follow procedures of installing them. It will ask them to reboot the same way the guest edition in VirtualBox does it. Okay, it's basically the same thing. As you remember, guys, when Windows reboots a couple of times, it's asking you to click if you need to start from CD DVD. Don't do this because the installation will start over again. So just wait. But when you see this boot, this CD DVD, don't touch it. Wait. Now here it is. That's a script which actually builds up the. Now here it is. We have yes here. Now the mouse. Remember, I cannot access the mouse at the moment. So what we need to do in this one is to come to the player, go manage, go virtual machine settings, and I need to add a USB device here. Remember, because my mouse is a USB mouse. So I need to come here where it says USB controller. I would say next. USB 1.1 is okay. Everything what is chosen is okay. I'll say show also USB input devices. I'll say finish. I'll say okay. Now it will apply the settings. That's the good thing about VMware. Most of the things you could apply right away. So now my mouse is working. and after the reboot it will be better even. Okay, so I'm gonna just right click. I will unlock the taskbar. I'll put it on the top, the usual thing which I'm doing, if you remember. I say unlock the taskbar here. Now this is active domain controller with 512 gigabyte. I'm really surprised how this guy will work. Now this is the moment I could go and click install the tools. I could install the tools now. Okay, so I'll click there and I'll wait until the tools are installed. Here it is. That's they has been introduced to the system as a CD. I'll click on it. I'll run the setup 64. It's exactly the same thing what we have with the guest edition. Exactly the same thing. Nothing different. Okay, so it will go through a process of installation, and afterwards eventually I will be prompted to reboot, so to take place. I always choose complete, so all the features to be installed. Next, install, and that's the installation. Now you see my mouse is slow. Well, that's because I have a domain controller with 512 megabyte of RAM, which apparently it's not enough. So I'm gonna do something about it. Now once they're installed, I'll say finish. I will be prompted to reboot them. I'll say no for now. I'll click on the start button. I'll navigate where it says here internet, indeed not the Internet Explorer. What I need here is the CMD, maybe. Start the CMD, and I'll ping Google from here. Now, since there is no DHCP available on my router, you see there is no such thing. Even if I ping 8.8.8, nothing will happen, right? Okay, it's pinging. So that means my DNS actually is not properly configured. So, well, that's again with what we need to do. So what I would do here, I would open my browser, and what else I need to open here is the server manager. As you see, it doesn't open by default, but it is here. I'll click on it. I'll open it, and I'm just gonna check the settings. Go local server. The name is DC, that's fine. Firewall stopped. Here we have automatic IP addresses. IPv6 enabled. I don't care about this. Actually, I'm gonna disable it. I don't need IPv6, as you remember in this labs, so I'm gonna disable it. The other thing which is here interesting is the no install updates, real-time protection. Well, this one is better to be off, but for now we're gonna leave it. We need to change, well, internet enhanced security configuration off, that's fine. And we need to change to our time zone, which is -5, if you remember. -5, and we're gonna go Eastern time. That's very important, obviously. And it's done. Something else I need to do. I need to change my IP address. First of all, I need to navigate to my router here, which is 192.168.199. As you see, it says 2. So I'll say 2 here. Now, before I do this, I need to reset the password. Number 3 is the reset web configurator password. So that's what I'm going to put here. It will ask me, are you sure you want to reset it to pfSense default one? I say yes, I will need to do this, and it will be resetted. In that case, when I do admin, that's the online default administrator, and I'll do pfSense with small letters. I'll click enter, and I could store the password now, obviously. So here it is. So something which I will do now is to go to the services, go to DHCP server, and I will start my DHCP server on the LAN interface. And I will say the range, let it be from 200 to 250. I'll go a little bit down. I need to put my DNS server. Well, this guy is also DNS server for now. So it's 192.168.199.2. Well, the other one is which I am at the moment, 192.168.199.4. That's this server DC which I am at the moment. The gateway, it's this guy again. I just could copy it and I could put it here. And domain name, let's see if there is a domain controller here. Well, there is no domain controller, even though it says DC. I really don't see a domain services here. That means domain services hasn't been installed. For now, I'm gonna leave it without a domain name. Okay, I could always put it back. I will say here save, and actually my DNS server will be started right away. So if I actually reset here on the NAS server, if I go one, and if I reset my interface, most probably it would, well, no, I need to reboot. So what I would do, I'll click 10, I will confirm my choice, and I will reboot the FreeNAS. So after the reboot, most probably it will take anything what it needs, so to be connected to the internet and to the network, obviously. Okay, so this is what I need to do on this guy. The other thing what I need to do is to eventually reboot it now, and to see if I do shut down. I will shut down, and I will increase to 1 gigabyte my memory here. I will increase because I would like to be sure it will work a little bit faster. And I check with it's a domain controller. It's supposed to start the domain services here. So I'll right click here again. I'll go VMware Workstation Player to start. I would navigate to my DC. I'll go to the player and I'll say manage virtual machine settings. I would choose here, let me see, this one is, I don't want this to start. It's a window, no, Windows, I don't want anymore this to start, so I'm gonna uncheck this connect to power. By the way, see, this one just get an IP address of 192.168.199.200, so that was the reason. There was no DHCP server installed on my LAN interface. So here, the memory, I will increase to 1 gigabyte for now. I'm gonna go and increase it to 1 gigabyte. Okay, 1000. As you see, there is a yellow, and it says here maximum recommended memory will be this one. Recommended is this one. Guest OS recommended minimum is this one. So, I mean, for now we're gonna get to the minimum. I would say even 536. So let's do it gigabyte and a half. At least this one. I'll say okay now, and I'll start it again. When I see all of this, I could say okay, or I could say do not show again. Doesn't matter really much. And I would monitor my CPU and memory. Even though with 3 machines up, you see it's handling okay. It's okay. I still have 1/3 of my memory available. And now this computer starts much faster, as you see. I will go and click again here, and I'll open the server center, the server manager, and I will see if the active domain will appear at a certain point. By the way, I could check it, right? I could come here, local server. What you do, you right click on the script and say start as administrator, or just run as administrator. I cannot ping which is strange. I'm able to ping it. I'm gonna configure it myself. So I'm gonna just check if my DNS settings are okay. So I'll come here. You know how to configure DNS server. If it does the same error like mine, you just come here, to the properties, you stop this one and start this one. Well, 4, 2, well, this one you could even change to 127.0.0.1. You know how it works. It's done. We say okay, we say okay, close. We close this guy, close this guy. No problem for us, guys. We'll do it ourselves. Other roles and features. Skip this. Don't forget first though. Open networking sharing center. Change adapter settings. Stop the adapter for a second. Enable it back. Things like this. Okay. We'll enable it back. We'll say next. Next. Before this though, let's exit. Before this, let's refresh. Just refresh your server here. Other roles and features again. Next. That's what we need. Next. We need domain services. No problem. Got the features needed. No problem. Next. Next. Restart the destination if needed. Install. As soon as you see the link here and it says it's done, you just promote this to a domain controller. And you create a new forest. I saw yesterday it's called lab.local. That's what I'm going to use. Lab.local. Say next. I use the password, you know, which is the password. I already use it here. I'll say next. I'll say next on this. The NetBIOS name will be lab with capital letters. I'll say next when I see it. The paths, I need to change them in the real life. Here in the lab, we just say next. We check the prerequisites now. If we see the green mark, we just click install and we are good to go. Yeah, green mark is there, click install and now wait. It will reboot in a few seconds and then I will be able to join the domain back. So this is the moment of rebooting. As you see, it's back, and the funny thing is that there is no username and password here, right? So well, that's something we need to fix. We cannot work without username and password here. So what I would do will be to come to the I would open my server manager. I will check to see domain controller properly installed. Yeah, the active domain DNS is here. I'll try to ping Google. What I would do actually would do NS lookup command. So let's try NS lookup now. Okay, the active domain DNS, everything's here. It's supposed to be working. I'll put NS lookup for Google. And I see this one is the DNS server, the computer itself, and I have answer from these guys, so it's okay. So what I would do next is we'll start the installation of my first hosts. So installing the first host, I need to right click here in one workstation player, the same thing what I did up to now. Then navigate, go to, we set here on the Windows server, I'm sorry, I need to do the name. Well, I'm gonna go tools. I'll go to ADAC, the 15 Active Directory users and computers, and I will introduce here. Actually, I could even pin it to the taskbar, so to be handy, I'll pin this one too, and I will say here, first I need to change my view to advanced, so to have all the features. I'll go to users, These are my users here, and I'll right click on the administrator. I'll say reset the password. I'll use my common one. Always when you reset, do unlock the user account. It's a good practice if it's locked. I see here key admins and VI admin. I'm just gonna reset the password for them as well, just in case. I don't need to change this password after. So some of the things has been created anyway. Either uh, the software seems like it didn't work. So say here, oh, that's a group. That's a group, we cannot do anything about the group. So that's all. We resetted the password to our standard one. Now our domain controller has a password for administrator. The next thing is to open a virtual machine again. So we're gonna go to our lab local, and now we're gonna start host one. We're not gonna introduce in this environment more than one hosts because apparently we're not gonna be able to use them. Then I'll click edit virtual machine settings. There will be default one because the script will be creating. I need to check. By default, all of these guys are on this one. Further, we might change some of them, but for now, we're going to use like that. The hard disk where we're going to install the operating system is 10 gigabyte. The other one, which will be our swap, will be 5. This one is 40. Now, 40 is not enough if I would like to put some virtual machines here, meaning I need to expand this one. And it could be done while the machine is offline, while it's shut it down. So I'll click here, expand, and I'm going to put here 200. So I'm going to put 200 gigabyte for this one, even 250, I'll say. Okay, and I'll say expand. And it says it has been successfully expanded, and I will see now 250 gigabyte. That's important to be done if you would like to put virtual machine inside, right? So I'll say OK on this one, and I will start the installation. Now, initially, it will start booting up from the Pixie, so I'm just going to wait. The network boot will be introduced, so I'm just going to wait. I will also monitor my CPU. You see, since I have a good CPUs here, that it's a good performance. Well, my memory, though, it goes down, but that's what it is. Let's check what's the memory here, actually. It has 4 gigabyte of memory, if I'm not mistaken. By default, they did it. So 4 gigabyte, 4. We're going to use it as they did it. They did it. So I have 4, I have 6, so 10 gigabyte. I have another 2 by these two machines. So 4 and 6, 10, and 2, 12. And I still have 4 gigabytes which to operates for my computer, which is almost 25%, as you see. 25% of my, more than 25, 30% of my capacity is still available. So I could start a second host even. Okay, so I don't know what will be the performance of the NAS. We will try. So it is exactly the same way. If you follow me, you're gonna see exactly the same thing on your computer. Now, if it doesn't start, you just click inside and do escape. So to stop the Pixie boot. So it's supposed to start from certain point. At certain point, it's supposed to boot from the. Okay, there is no operating system. Well, we know why. We forgotten to put the operating system. What I could do is to come here, say manage virtual machine settings. And I forgot. I needed to put here the ISO image which I already prepared, right? So I need to click here and say browse, and I would navigate here where it says local. Actually, it is in my downloads. And this is the VMware VMvisor. That's what is the ESXi. I would say connect power on and connect it. It's supposed to be connected. I'll close it. And I could say here restart the VM. And it will restart the virtual machine. I'll click inside, I'll click escape to stop the Pixie boot. And now I'm expecting to start the boot and installation of the, yeah, this is the one. I could click enter here, and my host starts installing. Now you see the CPU goes up because it is uh, something which is taking resources from the computer. So that's the hypervisor we're installing at the moment. That's our first host. Think about this like a VirtualBox, but installed directly as an operating system. That's what we do at the moment. On a clean machine, we install our hypervisor. And as you see, my CPU now, almost half of the CPU power is taken, as well as my memory increases, and now I have only 1/5 of my memory, but still I have something to work with. Okay. So when you're prompted to start the installation, yeah, you click inside and you click enter to continue as they ask you. Now you see there are two choices: either do not accept the license, click escape, or F11, which means you accepted it, and it will start the installation. As we mentioned, we need to use the 10 gigabyte. That's the default disk by default. So I'm gonna just click enter here to continue. US default is what we need. Enter to continue. Now the password, if I use welcome1 with capital, it won't agree because it needs at least one symbol different than digit. So I'm gonna use the exclamation point. With arrow down, I'll go down and I'll repeat this one. And then I'll click enter. So my password is welcome1 with capital, but you know, it has an exclamation point at the end. And now it says that the disk will be actually reset, if I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure, F11 is to install it. So now that's the installation of ESXi itself. Any questions, guys? So when you see this done, actually you need to click enter and it will reboot. Now, when it reboots, be sure that you're gonna remove the installation media from outside, okay? Be sure that you will remove it since, now that's the moment, because otherwise it will start installing it again. So I'm just gonna power it off. Or I might come here and I would say, I cannot enter now, I cannot. So when you shut it down, you just come back. And then I go to the host and I will go to the virtual machine settings and I would remove the CD here. I would go to the CD where it says here and I would just say I will uncheck connected power. Okay, and then I will start it. And this guy will appear. Now you see significantly dropped the amount of memory, almost half of what I've been using before. Okay, so I'll click inside, I'll click escape on this, and now it will start. It will start the installed already operating system. Now still loading. It's fast though. It is fast with 4 GB of RAM. Now when I see an IP address given by DHCP, that's fine. What I could do though is to click F2. I will be immediately asked for my password. Okay. And what I could do here actually is to check, there is a test management network. So it will test the addresses and the DNS servers and so on and so forth. So I'm going to click enter to test it. And if I see OKs everywhere, that means okay. The last one actually won't be, oh, it's okay too. Local host, local domain, so everything is okay. I don't need to do anything about this one. What I need to do actually is just to see the IP address. Okay, IP address is 201. That's what I need to know. Now, most of the time, since that's a server as well, you need to change to static IP address. For now, I'll leave it like this. Okay, I would leave it like this. So basically, with this, we're done with the first part of our installation. Now I'm going to stop the movie. I will stop the movie. I will deploy it so you guys to be able to use it. The second part will be the installation of the vCenter, uh, the vCenter server, which is for Windows. It's a separate machine. It cannot be installed on a domain controller, if you remember. We cannot install it on this domain controller. It's supposed to have 8 GB of RAM. It's supposed to have two processors there. Okay,